Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Owl's Nest Barbecue Catch Up Show. I'm Steve. That's Pete. Appreciate you being with us. Pete, what's up, buddy?
Man, what a beautiful day today. Started out a little cloudy, but ended up being a nice day after all. It was
Yeah,
good weather. Love it.
we are going to tonight. We've got a great guest. We've got Will Hare from Memphis. Will just recently won the Smoke Slam inaugural event in Memphis, and we're going to talk to Will about that. And we're going to go over all the local barbecue news that we had just a busy weekend here in Chattanooga. We're going to go over that. And plus, too, before the show is over, we're going to go to Pete. We're going to go over all the new pictures on the Owl's Nest Barbecue Nation
Nation
page.
page.
So we're excited about that. Hey, we just had a huge weekend at the store this weekend. We appreciate everybody that came by, especially Chris Jesse. Chris drove all the way from Rogersville, which is above Knoxville up in Hawkins County. And he came in and he bought a Badger barrel from us from Pit Barrels. And Chris, I appreciate you doing it. He bought a Badger barrel and took home some B&B charcoal to go with it. We appreciate you doing that. And also Brett Varner, that is Joe Thomas's son-in-law, Pete, our neighbor. Brett came in and got a Green Mountain Grill Peak smoker. That was his Father's Day present.
Nice.
So speaking of Father's Day, it is June the 16th. And I want to encourage everybody to come by and pick out something for Dad, especially if he's a backyard griller, if he's a wannabe backyard griller, or if he is you want him to be backyard griller. That's the best one. Somebody that we can, somebody we can work with, and we can help guide, and that'd be a cool thing. That'd be a cool thing.
A lot of new people coming in the store, Steve. I like seeing it. And, a lot of people come by to get their same old seasonings. And, this guy came in talking about brisket. He wanted some special sauce or special seasoning for the brisket he was getting ready to cook.
Yeah. We've got a lot of repeat customers, a lot of the same rubs. Of course, Grilling Addiction leads the David Bosca's Grilling Addiction leads the pack by far. But a lot of people coming in getting Meat Church. A lot of people come getting Killer Hogs and Heath Riles. Man, the attention that these guys get is just incredible. Even Will's Smoke Masters rub that we've got. That's our whole hog go to. People buying that, so it's just fantastic. We're so lucky that they come in. Let's go over a few things real quick, Pete, before we bring Will on. The Honeybee Festival was this weekend, and I know if you're not into competition barbecue, some of this may bore you, but the neat thing is, it's the guys that we know were in this contest, and they did great. We had four of our good friends finished in the top 20 in this contest. And first, the best showing we had was our buddy right there, Sean Cosby from Choo Choo Barbecue. Sean came in second place overall at the Honeybee Festival, which is I think they had 28 teams, which is just a fantastic cook he had. Michael Williams came in sixth place. Now, you know what makes this so unique? This was Michael's first professional contest. He's competed on the amateur side, Pete, but this is the first time that he's entered a professional contest, and he came in sixth place overall.
Good for him. Glad to see it.
That's strong. That's strong right there. Our buddy John Thatcher came in 12th. He and his wife Tammy of Third Swine's a Charm barbecue team. John is if you're from Chattanooga and you have children that went to public schools, you probably know John. He probably drove your bus at one time or the other. John's a great guy. John and I used to work together, and he's a super guy, and he's a super cook, and he came in 12th overall. And our buddies down in Chickamauga, Alan Gayton, right there, and Michael Swanson, those two make up Q-inator, and they came in 16th place. So four of our team, our buddies, came in in the top 20. And that to me, Pete, I think that's incredible cooking.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, what a great showing, right? All of them are folks that come to Owl's Nest Barbecue, come in.
Yeah.
Most of them on your pro staff. A lot of good barbecuers there.
So thank you guys for getting your stuff at the store, and way to go, man. That's you guys just cooking fantastic food. Don't forget, coming up on June the 13th from 6 until 10, you can come out and meet Jed and JR. They'll be broadcasting from the Owl's Nest Barbecue store and the Midnight Oil right here in Ooltewah. They'll be there from 6 until 10 doing their show out there. Little Captain Max will be with them, and we want you to come on out and meet the guys, and we're going to have a good time, and we'll do something afterwards. We'll have some, of course, we'll have some biscuits, sausage biscuits, and all kinds of food going on, but that's going to be on June the 13th. Make it a point to come by the store between 6 and 10 and meet Jed and JR and Captain Max. They're a lot of fun. They do a great job, and it'll be a fun day at the gas station. I promise you. I promise you that. All right, let's run down south here. Let's go over to Memphis. And we got this guy right here. Now, this guy, Will, can you do me a solid and loan me 20?
I think I can help you out.
Will Hare from Memphis.
Catch it fast before it's gone, Sue.
This is Will Hare from Memphis, Tennessee. And Will, you still working at St. Jude's?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You're a locksmith, aren't you?
Yes, sir. That's the 9 to 5.
Yeah, Will works at one of the greatest things in this state, St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and he's a locksmith there. And you've been there what? How many years?
I'm moving on 10 years. It'll be 10 years in November.
Yeah, a long time.
Mm-hmm.
A long time. I'm sure you're good friends with the staff, and the staff's good friends with you. And
oh, absolutely.
Good, good for you. Great place to work too, I'm sure. And his other job is winning barbecue contest under the flag of Smoke Masters. And we'll just let's get it out of the way. You won the inaugural Smoke Slam event in Memphis a couple weeks ago, and let's just get out of the way. How much did you win?
Over it all, the grand total came to $92,250. We took second place pork, second place whole hog, first place rib, first place beef, and fourth place dessert, and grand champion, of course.
Wow,
that's huge.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, Will.
Thank you.
congratulations!
I have a huge team behind me, and I couldn't have done it all by myself, so I can't take all the credit. But it's been a long time coming. We've worked hard for it for many, many years, and it's nice to see it pay off like that every once in a while, literally and figuratively.
Pete and Will. Steve Davidson says hello, everybody. Scott Stinnett. There's your buddy Scott there. Uncle Woo saying hi to Uncle Woo. And there's Johnny Maggs out of New Hampshire. He's dropping in and dropping us a goodbye. We appreciate that very much.
Penley's on. I don't know if you can see it on yours, but him and Jeff Maxwell's on.
Okay, they're on the other side. Oh, that's fantastic, Jeff and Jason. We appreciate you watching as we talk to Will Hare too. Now, Will, he's no Johnny come lately. You're two-time Memphis Barbecue Network team of the year.
18 and 19, we were team of the year. And then, of course, there wasn't a 20. 21, we came in second behind Great Pig in the Sky. And then 22, we won pork team of the year. And then 23, we were still top 5 in all 3 categories, but we didn't come out on top of any of them. And we're in the hunt this year. I think we're second in hog right now, and second or third in pork. I'd have to look at the list to be 100% sure. But I think we're tied for 5th or 6th in ribs right now. So we're making a go at it this year. Hopefully over the next couple months we'll get on up there a little bit. But starting into September, we got a pretty busy fall. We cooked 10 in a row starting the second to last week in September. So it's the either third and fourth or fourth and fifth week in September, then every single weekend in October, and then the last two or first two weekends in November. So it's it's
Quite a few.
it's a busy fall for us.
Well, explain to everybody. Competition barbecue. It interests some people. Some people aren't interested in it. But when they hear the word $92,000, their ears perk up and they get really interested in it. Would
So do I.
you tell us about the Memphis Barbecue Network? I'm not that familiar with it. Tell me what you guys do.
So Memphis Barbecue Network, we're Memphis Barbecue Network is a barbecue sanctioning organization. They sanction barbecue contests, to put it basically and bluntly. Now it is the organization I cook primarily. And there's, oh wow, I wish I had a solid number on teams, but they're over 100 teams and probably over, I'd say around 50 or 60 that are seriously active. And the thing that sets Memphis Barbecue Network apart is right now we're the only sanctioning body that cooks whole hog. So the three main categories in a MBN competition are whole hog, pulled pork, and ribs. Used to call it shoulder. A couple of years ago, they started letting us cook butts, so they started calling it pulled pork instead of shoulder. It used to be whole hog, shoulder, and ribs. Now it's whole hog, pulled pork, and ribs. And I think first of this year, they actually started including pork collars to kind of accommodate some of the KCBS guys that are used to cooking collars and just money muscles. So make it a little bit more similar for those guys. Try to entice a couple guys to come across the line and cook more than just one sanctioning body.
But when you do an MBN event, you've got to cook the whole hog, right?
Yeah, well, you don't have to cook it, but it is one of the main three categories. We're not like KCBS where you've got to cook all four categories to grand. You can come in and just cook rib and still win a grand. Your entry just has to score higher than everything else. Now, it's hard to beat a whole hog with a rib, but it has been done, can be done. It's what we won SmokeSlam with, was a rib.
Yeah, I was going to say that's what you won.
Mm-hmm.
With the ribs. Explain how that works, because I don't understand how that works.
Each major category goes through judging. Now at SmokeSlam, they did a kind of a one-off. They did on-site prelims. So the preliminary round was a blind box turn-in, and 3 on-site judges came by, and you did a presentation to each individual judge. Then the top 3 in that category entered the finals round, and you had a group of 4 judges come around, and you did that on-site presentation to those 4 judges. So, and that happened in whole hog, pulled pork, and ribs. And we were lucky enough, we finaled in all 3 categories. We were the only one to not only double final, but we triple finaled in ribs, pulled pork, and hog. So very, very blessed that weekend. Like I said, I put a good team behind me, and we hit all the marks and just turned in some amazing products. So
you start out, you turn in your food in a blind box first. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And out of all those blind boxes, the judges pick.
They score those blind boxes on a scale of, they say 1 to 10, but I think the actual scale is like 7 to 10, 10 being your best. And it's not the best you've ever eaten. It's the best you've had that day. So it's comparative as to what else is on the table that day. So somebody has to get a 10 and in that category. So those 3, like I said, those 3 categories are judged blind box, and not normally, but this past weekend there was that on-site prelim factor, but normally it's just your blind box preliminary score. And then you move into the finals round and get an on-site set of judges that come by. And then, so you've got the 3 top teams in each of those 3 categories go head to head for the grand championship. Those 9 categories those 9 sets of entries get judged for the finals round. So you
So
got,
what is
3
what is the
hogs, 3
timeline?
pork.
What is the timeline on that?
As far as the judging?
Yeah, or when do you have to have your turn in
So
your
normally
boxes to start
on a
ready?
on a normal NBN timeline, it's 10, 11, and 12. So 10 o'clock is
Okay.
your whole hog turn in, 11 o'clock is your pulled pork turn in, and then 12 o'clock is your rib turn in.
So on
Now
your whole, hold on a
again,
minute. Now on your whole hog, you will take meat out of your hog and put it in a box,
mhm,
and then turn that box
loin, shoulder, and ham, the 3 portions of the hog you've got to turn in.
in the
Uh,
box.
in the box. That's all that can be
Oh,
in the
okay.
box. No
Oh,
bacon,
okay.
no ribs, no extraneous anything. It's loin, shoulder, and ham. You got to have at least 6 sections, 6 samples of each of those 3 portions of the whole hog
In one box.
in one box, one
Okay.
9-inch styrofoam clamshell.
Wow. That thing's packed then.
It is. It's full. It is full.
And then you'll turn in your ribs in same way, and then
Well,
your
the pulled pork second, and it's the
yeah.
same way. And usually you get, the rules are a little different because it's any kind of portion of the pork butt. There's no portion of the shoulder or the collar. There's no portion of that's you can't turn in. Whereas as with the hog, you can't turn anything in other than shoulder, loin, and ham. On pork, you can turn in money muscle, you can turn in chunks, you can turn in tubes, you can turn in shred, whatever you think is the best part of that pulled pork entry that you cook that day.
Yeah.
And then
Here
ribs are the same way.
I don't know how old this picture is or where it came from, but there's Will, and he
That is
is
that's a toka, I believe. Which was the first contest of 24, I believe. That's a
so
Compart hog, so I want to say, yeah, it was. I want to say that was a toka.
now did you cook your pig, your hog? How many hogs did you cook?
For Smoke Slam, I cooked
Yeah,
2.
2.
Did cook
So
2.
did you take the box meat out of one,
Mhm.
and then
I
when
did
you did
my
the
so
presentation out
essentially,
of
you
the
got a front with that picture you just had up. If you look at that, you've got the side that's facing me, and then the side that's facing back. Well, that rack is on a carousel, so it turns. So I build my blind box out of the one side. Yeah, the side that's facing me right there. I used that front shoulder, that front loin, and that ham, and then I spun it around backwards. Well, the on-site prelim judges got samples of the backside of that hog. And then I had a completely separate hog that was full and untouched that I used for finals.
wow. So
Yeah,
you got
two
2 hog
backwoods,
cookers, 2
yeah,
hogs.
2 backwoods Pro Comp hog cookers. I had mine, and then I borrowed one. Actually, borrowed it from Heath Riles, and 240-pound hogs, 2 hog cookers, 12 bags of Royal Oak lump. It's an
Wow.
undertaking, man. It's a lot. There's a lot going on. And to throw in the fact that not only are you cooking 2 hogs, but I also cooked 6 pork butts and 2 pork shoulders for my pulled pork entries. And then I cooked 16 racks of baby backs for my rib entries. So, and those have all
16?
got to be done with 16 racks. Yeah. Normally I cook 8 because 4 for a blind box and then 4 for finals judges. But I needed 3 extra racks for on-site prelim judges, and I wanted to have extra to choose from to get the best of the best, and the gamble worked. Worked really well, actually.
He would love to try cooking an NBN event. It sounds like, Johnny, you have to be a millionaire.
I will say that is one reason that the NBN got away from the on-site prelim portion of the judging a few years ago. I'd be lying if I guess. I want to say it was 16 or 17 when they got away from it. May have been earlier than that, but they went to a purely blind prelim, and that cut back on the amount of meat you had to cook. Normally for contests now, I cook 1 pig, 4 pork butts, 1 shoulder, because I present a shoulder for finals. I just think they present better than a pork butt. But I use my pork butts for building the blind box, and then, like I said, 8 racks of ribs. So it's he's not wrong. You're $600 or $700 in meat cost if you're cooking, premium meat, which it's no different than a $300 Wagyu brisket if you're cooking on the other side of the aisle. So I'm losing you there, Steve.
$340. We did a hog last year, and I think it was about 140 pounds. I think it was $340, and it wasn't anything. It was just
I cook
just no
Compart.
pig.
Yeah, I cook Compart Duroc, and they're premium meat, so it's $3.99 a pound right now. But I tell you, man, it's worth every penny.
Obviously.
Worth every penny.
Well, now what's it cost to enter SmokeSlam?
There were 2 different site sizes you could purchase. There was a $2,500 site and I forget the dimensions. And then we got the larger site, which was 30 by 50, I believe. It's been a while and I've had a lot going on, so don't quote me on those numbers. But the larger site one was 2,500, one was 3,500, and that covered your 3 meat entry for NBN. And then the ancillaries. Somebody asked me this yesterday, and I can't remember what we spent to enter the ancillaries. It was either $50 a category or $100 a category. I can't really remember. But yeah, there was a per category entry for the ancillary for the World Food Champion, because World Food did their judging for the ancillary competitions at SmokeSlam, and we cooked duck, wings, poultry, beef, and dessert. I think that was all 5. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I think that was all 5 of them.
That's incredible. Robbie Royal is watching with us. I believe Robbie was in that contest too, wasn't he?
Robbie was, and yeah, Robbie, we had the conversation afterwards. So 9 on-site prelims and 3 finals presentations. That's 12 presentations, 12 judges presentation, $50 each on the ancillaries. Robbie's right. Thank you, bud. I couldn't remember. But yeah, the 12 on-site prelims, we were doing on-site presentations for 12 and a half hours on that Saturday. It was a long day.
What a contest, and what a test of just hanging in there.
How many people on your team, Will?
Normally it's on a normal weekend, there's me and 2 or 3 other guys and my wife. So 4 or 5 of us, depending on who all shows up. But at Memphis in May, we have a lot larger team. A lot of the older guys that have cooked with me for years show up. And this year we had a large contingent of new guys because as things happen, there was a youth soccer tournament somewhere out of town that more than half of our team had children playing in that soccer tournament. So they were all unavailable. So we brought in 7 or 8 new guys this year, and it just worked out fantastic. So we were somewhere around 17 or 18 people this year. And
now, do they volunteer to help you just to go down there?
Well, I mean, there's a dues process and all that, because it does cost to buy the meat and pay for the entry fees. And then we built a scaffold setup and all that other stuff for, and sponsors pay for a lot of that. But yeah, the team is they're not just doing it, out of the goodness of their heart. No, they're joining to be part of something. And luckily this weekend they really were part of something. So we managed to make some lifetime memories there.
Well, I think congratulations to you. That sounds like it was a great contest. And, I know when we do a whole hog, it's almost, you may feel the same way every time you do one. Well, I don't know. It's almost it's a mythical feeling to do one. At least it is for us, because we don't do them that
It's all
often.
consuming. I can tell you that it takes a lot of energy.
It's such an interesting process.
Oh yeah.
To do one, and to the different styles you can do. You do yours like, sitting there. I guess that's called the running position.
Yeah, running style.
Yeah. And, I do mine on its back.
Yeah, belly up.
Yeah.
There's
And
there's
do you flip yours during the cook? You don't flip it,
no,
do you?
no. I rotate left to right, but I do
Mhm.
not turn it over. With the way you saw it in that picture right there is the way it looks when it gets turned in. Of course, it's
So they
cooked.
come now when the whole hog, well, you want it in ribs. Did 4 judges come to your setup and
Mhm.
you had to present the ribs to them?
Mhm.
So what do you do? I mean, tell me
Well, I
me,
mean,
like
we
I'm judging your
4 judges
ribs.
yeah, 4 judges show up, we bring them back, and we show them the cooker. We basically go through everything it takes us to get our product from raw to finished. I showed them, and this time I was lucky enough to have a rack that hadn't been cooked, so I was able to show them what it looked like right out of the cryovac. Then we showed them what it looked like after we trimmed it. We showed them what it looked like once it went on. We told them about seasonings we used and trimming processes and all that. Went through literally the entire process from start to finish. And then you know, opened up I cooked my ribs on an Old Hickory Ace BP this time. Um, Opened up the Ace, pulled out the rack, and there were 5 racks of beautiful ribs laying there. We really had some fantastic looking ribs this time, and pulled off 4 of them and took them to the table. And I'll be danged if those judges didn't eat every single bone. I had
Wow.
one rack. I had one rack left over that I closed the door on the cooker, and believe it or not, that rack was still there Sunday morning when we went to break everything down. We got back to the tent and realized, got back to the site Sunday morning to break down and realized that we had never gotten that last championship level rib off of the cooker. So it was a little bit heartbreaking, but it
Yeah.
was what it was.
Well, how did when the judges come to and I've only seen it on television, when Robbie did it, on
Mhm.
Barbecue Pitmasters, when it shows Myron doing his little dog and pony show, with the whole hog. How do you sell that whole hog when the judges come? Do you get into it and you pull the meat out to them?
Oh,
You
absolutely.
hand the meat? Yeah.
Absolutely. I have my judges stand right behind me, and my cooker sits on the patio of my cook trailer, and it faces the side of the trailer. So I actually had this time I had flooring that was built up to the side of the trailer, and so I had room for them to stand right behind me. So I pulled the rack out of the cooker, not all the way, but a good about like it was in that picture you showed before, and then I come through there and pull the shoulder meat off the front, pull the ham meat off the rear, pull the loin out. I usually pull the loin out in one solid piece, turn it around, and it's always awe inspiring for the judges to see all the juices dripping off of the loin. So because that's one of the telltale signs is whether or not it's going to be a good loin is whether it's juicy or not. And so yeah, I pull everything right in front of my judges. Now some guys do it different. Some guys will set them at the table and start, somebody else will start talking to them about another part in the process, while someone in my position would start pulling the meat off the hog. But I like my judges to actually see it come off of the hog with, in my hands. There's no dog and pony show here. There's no tricks. I'm not pulling one thing and feeding them another. Everything that comes off of the hog is everything that they're tasting. And they're watching it from the grill to the table.
And do they what do they say? Do they go, "Oh, this is really good," or
Oh, I usually get pretty good reactions. I mean, it depends on what the hog gave you that day, because that's all you can give the judges is what the hog gave you. But
yeah.
yeah, I get more reactions when I open the cooker than anything else, and that's one of the things I like about running style is when I pop the lid of that cooker and pull that rack out, that hog, if everything went right and that skin is that nice red mahogany color, and it's impressive. It's impressive to look at. And we do what's called a bikini cut on top. We remove the skin off the top of the shoulders, across the whole back of the loin, and across the top of the hams. And we're able to sauce those portions and glaze those portions so that it's just very appetizing. It's, you know, sauced up and shiny looking, and we get a
Yeah.
lot of oohs and ahs when we crack that lid open on that cooker. Now, I'm not going to say when I set it down at the table and start handing them samples that I don't get oohs and ahs there, because if it's a good hog, I get it. And we had a good one there. Marcio with Hog Addiction, he ended up taking first place in hog, and I think he beat me by 2/10 of a point. It's either 2/10 or 3/10 in the finals round. Um, but I don't think there were more than a point or two separating all three of us. Marcio, myself, and Robbie. Robbie had the other hog in finals that day, and with three guys like that, and you know, I like to think I cook a pretty good hog, but up against those two guys, there's no, you know, there's nobody sitting back and going, "Oh, this is a done deal." You know, it's no holds barred at that point, because it's that was a rack of heavy hitters right there.
You not get it is. Tell me what if did this tell me how this contest differed from the ones you did like doing Memphis in May. What were the differences in this contest?
The biggest difference,
Memphis in
right
May
off,
and Smoke.
yeah, the biggest difference right off the top was the ability that we had to cook all three entries. And that was one of our deciding factors when we were looking at it and deciding where we were going to go, whether, excuse me, whether or not we were going to go to Smoke Slam or whether we were going to go to Memphis in May. And when we looked at it and figured out that we had the ability to cook all three entries versus just the one entry at Memphis in May, I mean, that's three more bullets in the gun, or excuse me, two more bullets in the gun. You know, that's three times the chances to win it that you have when you can only enter one category. Now, there are a lot of other deciding factors that went into that, and here again, the rumor mill is running wild on you know, why we did what and who did what and who went where. And I mean, yeah, I had sponsors that asked me to cook Smoke Slam, and that was a big part of my decision. But
Really?
when it all came down to it,
Did
the decision.
they tell you why?
Well, but the real simple, my sponsors had a pre-existing relationship with the Mempho Presents group. The Mempho Presents has been putting on music festivals in city of Memphis for several years now, and they're really good at it. And we were anxious to see what they would do with the barbecue contest, and we were not disappointed in the results. They did a fantastic job of putting on a incredible contest between Mempho Presents, World Foods for the ancillaries, and the final nail in the coffin was you know, MBN doing doing all the main meat category judging. There was just it didn't make sense for us to try to do something else.
Well, let me. I'm going to ask you a real tacky question because I promised my friend that I would ask his tacky question.
Right ahead.
Did you picking Smoke Slam? Did getting away from maybe some of the bigger names over at Memphis and May come into play at all?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really. Now, I mean, I'm not going to say that because the competition at Smoke Slam was just as difficult. I mean, if you look at the ranking for go to the Memphis Barbecue Network website and pull up the Team of the Year standings right now. Out of the top 10 teams in each category, I think I venture to say 8 or 9 of each category were at Smoke Slam. Poker Porkers was there, Hog Addiction was there, I was there, Robbie Royal was there. There were some heavy hitters at Smoke Slam just as well. Now, you're going to get guys that say, yeah, Myron and Tuffy and Mo and all these other guys, and yeah, I get it. I'm not taking anything away from those guys. They're fantastic cooks. Myron's cooked more barbecue in his life than I've cooked, you know, than I probably will ever cook. But his team isn't out there competing every weekend in the NBN now. And a lot of the guys that are hitting it every weekend were at Smoke Slam. Now, that doesn't make one side better than the other. But
it makes sense to me if I'm an NBN person and I am a competitor chasing points. it would be the easiest decision I ever made. Would be to
It,
cook
it,
smoked
wa-
lamb
when it
instead of
came down to it, it wasn't difficult. It was not a difficult decision for me.
yeah. It shouldn't have been. It
I
shouldn't
can't
be.
speak to the other guys, but between the points and just cooking the format that we're comfortable with, and it sounds tacky to say it, but dude, there was $250,000 on the line. That is the biggest purse that has ever been offered at a competition barbecue event in the history of competition barbecue event that I'm aware of. Now, if I'm wrong, please enlighten me, because if there's been more than 250 grand offered in winnings at a contest, I sure hadn't heard about it, because I'd have been there if I had the ability. Um, yeah, there you go.
Personally, I wanted to go old school NBN with all the on-site judges.
And that I don't disagree. It was nice to get back to on-site prelims for just once. I don't want to do it every weekend, but it was fun to do it just once. Like I mentioned a little while ago, 12 presentations in 7.5 hours. It was a lot. It was a lot, but it was fun. And at the end of the day, we were tired, but we were very, very happy with the way everything went. Not to mention, it was my 50th birthday. I don't know if I turned 50 that Saturday. The judging day of Smokeslam was my 50th birthday. I'm losing you again, Steve.
What a great
Say again.
What a great birthday present.
Oh, absolutely, a great birthday
He's
present. I'm
having
sorry,
internet
I think we had a little buffer in there, but yeah, it was a hell of a birthday present. My wife came to me last week while we were on our vacation, and she looked at me and she goes, there's no way I can match that, right? She said, that's pretty much it. You're done. I was like, well, I get it, I do, but yeah, it was an incredible birthday present, and like I said, I can't take all the credit. I had a whole team of guys behind me, and I couldn't have done it without every single one of them. So.
Tell me
How what you did, how is that going to translate what you do in the World Food Championships? What will you be doing in World Food?
Honestly, I don't know. I've got a lot of research to do about World Foods because it's not a venue I've ever cooked before. And I've talked with some guys that have done it. Brandon and Michelle O'Gwen, the guys that run judging at Memphis in May, they're good friends of mine, and they do a lot of World Foods. They've been in there for the past several years, and I've talked with them a handful of times, trying to just kind of figure out what it's all about, because World Foods is a whole nother animal for me. I'm interested to see how it turns at 50 on my 50th. Yeah, I'd never looked at it that way, but you're right. But yeah, I can't hear you, Steve. I'm sorry.
I said if I was playing the lottery, I'd play on the pick 4. I'd pick 5050.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. It seems to be a lucky number for me.
Well, you said during the ancillaries that the world they did that World Food Championship style, correct?
Yeah. The turn-ins were World Foods Championship
So
style.
So you had to build it. You had to build a tray.
For the dessert, we did. The only silver platter edition they did was dessert. The rest of them were just 9-inch clamshell blind boxes.
Oh, okay.
And I don't, so I don't know how that translates over into their normal format, because I know under the normal World Food rules that I think you're in a 10x10 space, and all your equipment has to fit in that space. There's no big trailers rolling out. And here again, I'm not the authority. I have barely scratched the surface as what it's going to take for that to happen. And I've also got to figure out logistics behind it, because that contest in I think it's Indianapolis this year falls on top of a weekend where or falls on a week in between two of the last NBN contests of the year. So it's going to depend a lot about where I am in the points race at that point. One of those weeks I'm going to be down in Robbie's neck of the woods down there in Vienna, Georgia. And then the weekend after that, we'll be in Biloxi, Mississippi, down there at on the Biloxi Bay, there's a Biloxi Bay RV resort holds a contest. It's the last contest of the year for the MBN. So it's going to depend a lot on where we are as in the points race as to whether or not I'm actually able to go to the World Foods or whether I send one of my other guys to World Foods. We're going to have a presence there regardless of how it turns out, but whether or not it'll be me, we'll see.
You're in Memphis, and you got to go down to Georgia,
Mhm.
and you got to go back to Memphis, and you got to go down to Biloxi.
There's a lot of driving involved, and actually, I've
You got to go to, then you got to go up to
so we
Indianapolis.
we cheat. We have an RV, and we end up going down to Georgia, and we cook the pig jig, and then we jump over to Orange Beach and spend a few days on the beach. And instead of turning around and coming 9 hours back, and then turning around and going 6 hours back down south, we spend a few days on the beach and then jump over to Biloxi. And the cool thing about it is in November, there's not a lot of people on the beach. So it's kind of a laid back, nice, relaxing end of the season. So, I've got to figure out how World Foods ties into all that, but it's going to be an interesting fall to say the least.
Well, it's
Yeah, Vienna is canceled. I bet they have. You got it last year, brother. I'm coming for it this year. So here we go.
That's terrible, Robbie. That's terrible.
He won it last year. And to beat mine, he had a hell of a hog last year. My hog was not bad last year, and I did not final. I did final in ribs down there, but yeah, last year Vienna was a tough contest. It was, I think finals in hog were him, Myron, and Marcio, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been him, Myron, and Poker. I can't remember who the third one was. But yeah, it was some heavy hitters.
That's really funny. That's a good little jab he took at you. He scared to death of you, Will. He's scared to death of you.
He ain't got nothing to be scared of. He's beat me just as much as I beat him. I just happened to hit a good one this past weekend. It happens.
When they, I guess they had a award ceremony like most. Was there award ceremonies very similar to everybody else's?
Yeah, just big stage.
At Smoke Slam.
Yeah,
and so your name was called last, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
What does that feel like?
Unreal, to be honest with you, unreal. Because like I said, at that point, I had a second place in hog, a second place in shoulder, and a first place in ribs. And it is very, very, very seldom that you see a rib walk off with one of these big contests. I mean, look at Memphis in May last year. John David and his guys won that with a rib for the first time in 21 years, I think it was. So it's you got to have a really good rib, and we did. We had a phenomenal rib the weekend of Smoke Slam, but to see it go up head to head with hogs and shoulders and walk away with all of it, yeah, it was amazing. It really was, and you kind of see it all happening. And I hate to get all movie style on it, but you kind of see it all happening in slow motion. I'm sitting there with my wife. We both got our eyes closed and our hands, clenched, and come on. And man, when they came out and said Smoke Masters, I came unglued. I really did. Because $50,000 is a game changer for us in the barbecue realm. I mean,
you had all the ancillary wins and places, and man, it sounds like just a fantastic barbecue tournament to me. It
was a great event, and I'm not going to try to put it up against Memphis and May as far as one being better than the other, because they've each got their pluses and their minuses. And like I said before, I'd love to see them on different days so that we could cook them both. Because there's a spot in my trophy case for a Memphis May Grand Championship trophy, and one of these days it'll get filled. But it's hard to.
Well, Will,
to beat the feeling.
To fix this problem, and it's a problem. Having Smoke Slam and Memphis in May on the same weekend. Who can fix this? Do you think is it you, the contestants? Is it
I,
is it the people that are running each one? Are we going to have a, do we need a summit?
I don't know. I'd love to have the answer to that question, but I have a feeling it lies somewhere around some egos getting out of the way, and some of those may have retired last year. So who knows? Moving forward, there's no telling what could happen. I would there's 100 different solutions to that problem as far as where to put different contests, and I'm not going to argue anybody when they say that Memphis in May has the right to that weekend. They've been doing it. They've had it longer than anybody else has. Smoke Slam is kind of the new man on the scene. If one of them is gonna move, it needs to be Smoke Slam. But they pulled off a successful event on the same weekend as the World Championship. Both events were successful. Now, granted, they weren't as wildly successful as they could have been had they been on the weekend by themselves. But in a city like Memphis, where you've got so many people and so many people come in town for these contests, there's room for both events, if you ask me. Smoke Slam was more of a festival atmosphere. They tried to bring in rides for the kids, things for the families to do, live fire demonstrations for people. They went out of their way to involve the public. And Memphis in May has never really been interested in providing anything for the public. It's been a long time response to hear people talk about coming to Memphis in May and being upset because all they could do was walk around and smell good barbecue. If they didn't know a team or know somebody on a team, there wasn't really anything for them to do. And Memphis in May has worked on trying to correct that in the past few years. They've brought in the barbecue alley and brought in some vendors and things of that nature to make it more crowd friendly. But I think in their very first outing, Smoke Slam did a better job of reaching out to the public than Memphis in May has done in the past several years. But here again, that's not to say it can't be better. I think it was better this year.
Yeah. That's the sport of barbecue. It's tough to make it a spectator sport. It has to be a very unique setting.
And I guess the biggest thing in all of it is there's room for everybody at the table. We got to figure out how to set the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that works or what it looks like, but
would you be up for, say, Smoke Slam being one weekend, Memphis in May being the next weekend? Would you be one of those people that would do both back to back?
I'd absolutely cook both of them.
Really?
But that's not an answer for everybody though, because the guys that are coming in from way out of town, it's hard enough to do 1 week out of town. 2 back to back is
well. You said it was $3,500 for your site and your entry fee. How much is it at Memphis in May? Because I've heard crazy.
Memphis in May has different levels of sizes, and the spots get much bigger there and much smaller there. You can get a lot smaller sites than you could get at Smoke Slam. Smoke Slam made it real cut and dry. They gave you 2 options. Memphis in May, I want to say there were 5 or 6 different sites. And be honest with you, I didn't look at it this year, so I can't speak.
Well,
to
you Memphis May 2007. When the last time you cooked it, how much did it cost to get your site and enter the contest?
So that's another tricky question, because we had corporate sponsors that negotiated our entry fees and sponsorship package with Memphis in May. So I was never really a party to what it cost us to do the event. Now I can tell you the bottom line. We spent in 23, we spent about $85,000 to cook Memphis in May. Now that was feeding 600 and something sponsors over the course of 3 days. That was $16,000 worth of scaffolding and carpeting and signage and tents and equipment and all that other stuff. There's a lot that goes into that. But we did, we went way over the top. We fed a corporate sponsor, 6 different times. And it's a big deal for us, because not only did our sponsors pay for that weekend, they also paid for funding part of the rest of our barbecue season. So
who is that sponsor? Let's give them a plug.
Orion Federal Credit Union. Orion
Orion
Federal Credit
Credit
Union. They're
Orion Federal
they're
Credit Union. Thank
amen,
you.
amen. I tell you, they don't come any better than those guys. They really don't. And they've been
Congratulations,
very,
Orion.
very good to me over about the past I think it's been 4 years now, maybe 3 years. I can't really remember, to be honest with you. We
Money
had,
well
we had Microsoft for several years, and when Microsoft left, we bounced around for a couple of years without a sponsor, and it's a lot harder to do it without a sponsor than it is to do it with one. I'll be honest with you. I've lost you again, Steve. I'm sorry.
Bill Gates.
No. Our Microsoft sponsor was the local Memphis branch of Microsoft. It wasn't corporate Microsoft. I would have loved to have seen him show up, but no, that was not something that I think he involves himself in.
Well, to say the least, everybody know how much you won, how much it cost to be in this competition game, and comparing the two, and that's just you've been just a wealth of information, man. You don't know how much I appreciate you so much,
Oh, absolutely.
so much. You want to hang around while we go through our buddies' pictures from the weekend?
Sure, man. Glad to.
All right, good deal. Pete, we're going to go through what we've got. Will, we've got a page. It's called the Owl's Nest Barbecue Nation page.
Okay.
And people post they'll cook over the weekend, and they post their pictures on it of what they've cooked. And every week we go through the things that they've cooked and kind of highlight the highlight of our friends. This one is Charles Pettit.
Oh, wow.
Pete, bacon wrapped meatloaf.
Meatloaf. Yeah.
I've done
Charles,
that.
Charles is a great guy too. I mean, what a great individual.
That's
Yeah.
a good looking meatloaf right there.
Charles has got a 100-inch television in his den, voice activated.
Wow.
It's incredible. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Wow.
Retired
100
IBM guy.
TV. That's a lot of TV.
He's from the Big Blue. Let's see. This is Heath Jordan. He's from up in Cleveland. He did a little bit of he called that a leftover. That's a brisket, and I thought it looked. Man, I just think it looks great.
It does. Good smoke ring.
Yeah, no kidding. Jonathan Edwards. Now Jonathan's from Alabama, and that's his pork butts. He's got some sort of a Pete. What's that look like? Some sort of a glaze on there?
Yeah, he's poured glaze. He does a bunch of them. If you saw the pictures that he did before he cooked them, I think he cooked like 4 or 6 of them.
Those right there, maybe.
There. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he had them seasoned up and put on there, but I don't know what he used on it. I'll have to ask him when I see him again, talk to him.
But they look like they're almost edible right then. Now this guy right here, Will, that's Thomas Damon. He's from Germany, and he'll post, and he's got a what's that thing called? That
Dutch oven.
Yeah, Dutch oven, and he's got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 briquettes on top. I know there's a science to that. I think he was doing a pork belly. I think, and no, that's pork. That was a pork butt. Looks like, but he did these pork bellies.
Oh, wow.
Man, they look good. Yeah, burn ends, pork belly burn ends, and that's I can't tell. What does that look like, Pete and Will? Is that
gross?
Yeah, he does a lot of. I'm going to tell you, in Germany, he cooks a lot of different things, a lot of things you don't ever see around here. But he's always cooking, and yeah, it looks like that's what it looks like to me. The big roasts.
I think it's pork belly. I don't know.
Looks too meaty to be a pork belly on top and stuff.
But it looks good. This next one, our buddy Jeff Maxwell, he posted these mushroom thing last week, and I really got on him because Jeff can cook, and I said, man, Jeff, that needs to look better. I got on, and he stepped it up, didn't he, Pete? Look at that.
Yeah.
That you like mushrooms, Will?
Oh,
What
absolutely.
about mushrooms?
Absolutely.
I like
Mozzarella, tomato, and basil. That looks fantastic.
Yeah, I forget what he called that, but it's got some sort of a name.
That's what I call it.
What's it called?
I said I'd call it delicious.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is Pete and I did these today. Apple pie baked beans.
There you go.
I don't know if you've ever had those,
I have done those. I have done that.
but those are incredible. There's Jason Penley's big old burger.
Not a bad idea right there. I love the,
Jay-
the big, thick bread and butter pickles on top.
Yeah. He's Jason's a good guy. He's a good cook, and he likes to show off his skills a little bit. And there's one more time. There's this guy's doing a whole hog.
Yeah.
We've seen that one.
He's pretty
But
good.
do you name all those pigs when you cook them, Will?
I do, but I couldn't remember to tell you what the name of that one was. I really don't know. We actually had a I don't want to bring down the mood, but we had a team member whose son came down with a inoperable brain tumor year before last, and we called him from the event, called him in the hospital, and asked him what he wanted to name our hogs that year. We had 2 hogs, and in true 8-year-old fashion, he named our hogs D's and Nuts. So we did real well with those 2 hogs, but that was that's my favorite naming of the hog story. And we lost Brody the next year, and we cook a bunch for a charity golf tournament in his honor every year, and I always get a chance to tell that story. It's one of my favorites. I can't hear you, Steve.
I said that's the problem is like when you win $92,000, it's like hitting the lottery. There's Robbie Roll. He's
Oh,
won-
yeah, for sponsorship. Yeah, okay. We'll talk after Vienna. How about that?
He's already wanting you to sponsor him. And there you go. He's
Thank you, Robbie.
congratulating me again. And there's our buddy Rondell Thacker. He's joined us. And Rondell, I hope you got to listen to Will tonight because he was a great guest. And we really, really appreciate him. Let me get rid of him quick here. Let's see.
I'm
There.
thinking, Steve, when we first when you got to Carolina Cooker, didn't we talk to Will
Yeah.
about cooking that first hog we
Yeah.
cooked on?
I was up in Hardy, Arkansas on the river that weekend. We phone called in when you guys did that. I remember
Yeah, I
that.
remember.
I think this is the third time Will's been on the show.
Mhm.
Will came over to the store one time. He was sitting over and were you over in that?
We were across it. We had come up. I had just bought my my RV, and we had come up to the state park that's right around the corner from you there. And we're camping. Yeah, we were camping in that state park, and went out one evening just to try to find some dinner because my propane had failed. Because it's a brand new RV, stuff's going to fail. And it had failed, and I couldn't cook. So I came into the little town right around on the other side of the hill, and I'm sitting in I want to say it was a Panera or Chipotle or something like that. And I look up on the wall and it says, "Welcome to Ottawa." And I was like, wait a minute, I know where I'm at. And pulled up my phone and took a picture of the sign and sent it to Steve on a Facebook Messenger. He's like, "You're right across the street from the store." So yeah, so I went in there and said, "Hey," but yeah, just kind of stumbled in there. I mean, I don't know how many people can ever say they've stumbled into Ottawa, but it definitely happened to me. And I've got a friend that actually moved there year before last. One of the guys that worked with me at St. Jude forever, Henry Carey. I told him to come by and see. I don't know if he has or not, but he. I can't hear you again, Steve. What?
He hasn't yet.
He will.
Oh yeah, if he hasn't, I'm sure he will. But yeah, he was about to retire, and I asked him what he was going to do, and he said, "I'm moving up the other side of Chattanooga, a little place nobody's ever heard of called Ottawa, Tennessee." And I said, "You're wrong. I've heard of it. I've actually been there." So
When you say Ottawa one time, people remember it.
yeah, oh yeah, it sticks. It's definitely a name that you don't have a good time forgetting. That's for sure.
It's an old Indian word. The literal translation is Sea Rock City.
Sea Rock. I have a feeling I'm getting my leg pulled there, but okay.
You got to be from Tennessee to get that joke.
Understand that one? Yeah. See,
Will, thank you so much. We got to get out of here, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I enjoyed it. We'll see you next
Appreciate
time.
You're
All right,
great.
brother.
Yeah, Pete,
Appreciate
thank you so much. Let's play a little advertisement and we'll get out of here. Let me find the scroll. You'd think I'd be good at this after a year. We'll see you back here next Monday. And in the meantime, Father's Day is just around the corner, June the 16th. Don't forget on June the 13th, these guys right here, right there, they'll be at the station from 6 until 10 broadcasting from the Owl's Nest Barbecue and Midnight Oil facility in Ooltewah, Jed and JR, with a little bit of Captain Max thrown in. And we're really looking forward to their visit. And until then come see us at the store. And we'll see y'all at the store. And we'll see you next week right here on the Owl's Nest Barbecue Catch-Up Show.